Florida, escaping some of the snow that we've all experienced up here. Uri Mann, he is a financial analyst.
And in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, this morning, financial analyst Uri Mann is also here.
Financial analyst Uri Mann, he is in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Beautiful Fort Lauderdale. Couldn't be further away from London right now, weather-wise.
You're such a great guest to have. We have to make sure you call your right name. Uri Mann, a financial analyst for us.
Why haven't we seen a bigger market reaction to terrorism fears here the last few days?
I think the markets have begun to mature and understand that terrorism may not necessarily affect the markets. Look at Israel's economy and their stock market. They are under constant attack by terrorists, yet their stock market continues to go north because the economy just continues to be resilient regardless. The difference here, though, is that Israel does a wonderful job, a great job at fighting terrorism. The U.S., on the other hand, we do a very poor job because we don't even profile people at the airport, which is Israel's cornerstone to its security policy, and we really have no leadership. I mean, yesterday I was shocked. I was watching news conferences with Janet Napolitano. She was saying things like the suspect. Instead of calling him a terrorist, she was calling him a suspect.
Right.
I mean, it's now more than 48 hours since he was burning his underwear. I mean, do we need to still call him a suspect? He's clearly a terrorist.
I think it's just bad news. These losses are horrific, and this company doesn't have any good prospects in terms of growth. They have a lack of innovation in terms of their products. And if you just look at it, I mean, the amount of credit card debt that continues to go bad is going to increase. I was reading the FDIC expects somewhere between 700 and 1,000 bank failures through 2012, and people are just going to continue to load up on credit card debt when they can and not pay it. So it's going to hurt Citi, and the mortgages continue to be underwater, and that hurts their business in general. So I don't see any good prospects for this company, and even though they met expectations, those expectations were pretty horrific. Putting your money in the auto sector today is really a gamble. We've seen the Obama administration a marvel of focus and efficiency saving these car companies, but I think this will go down as one of the biggest mistakes in U.S. history. Saving GM and Chrysler, even though they're a big part of our economy, are likely to fall and falter again. It's up to them now that they've gotten rid of these legacy costs. They've been able to shed dealers and rework their contracts. It's up to them now to sell great cars at competitive prices. I don't think they'll be able to do. GM is still hemorrhaging, and this year will go down as one of the worst years in the auto industry. Even next year will probably be the second worst, even if it's up to 10%. I mean, look at sales. 10.3 million or 11 million sales is basically down to 1970 levels. Hats off to Irene Rosenfeld for getting this deal done. I think it's a good deal for Kraft for a few reasons. Just like your other guest mentioned, it's about getting access to distribution, and in this case, it's not just about getting access to different countries. Cadbury, for example, is very strong in Brazil and India, and that's very attractive to Kraft. But it's also getting access to different types of distribution. Remember, most of Kraft's products are sold in grocery stores, which are not, that type of distribution is not quite as profitable as selling through convenience stores, which is what Cadbury does. So they're going to be able to get higher profit margins for some of their products by this new methods of distribution. But you know what? It's a shame to see this deal happening today. I really enjoyed the last 4 months of all this public sparring and all the name calling between the CEOs. It's going to be interesting to see what happens going forward. I would bet that if Irene gets her way, she's going to move a lot of the production out of the United Kingdom to save costs, and that's a shame for Cadbury. But I bet you Cadbury management's getting a lot of control to make this deal happen.
What I like to do during the season is drive around the malls and see how many cars are in the parking lots. But that's not the entire story. If you walk around the malls, you'll see tons of people shopping. But it's key to look at what's in their hands. Do they have shopping bags in their hands? And what I've seen this past season is there's so many people walking around but not really buying that much. I think the consumer is still strapped for credit and still worried about future personal income and unemployment.
More on TD, I definitely would choose TD Ameritrade for a number of reasons. One, I like them compared to their competitors. You look at E-Trade, you look at Schwab. I think they're doing a better job with marketing. They're doing a better job with account management in general. You saw Schwab just cut its commission structure. I think it was mostly in response to the fact that its competitors are doing a better job, like TD Ameritrade. I also think TD Ameritrade or E-Trade or these other companies are all potential candidates for takeovers. Google has been in the market thinking about making a purchase of one of these types of companies. Brown wins, in my opinion. The health care, Obamacare does not get passed. And, you know, I've been watching this campaign pretty closely. It's interesting. This is a guy who's campaigning based on the fact that he's an everyman. He has a truck with 200,000 miles, you know, and he talks about his truck. He almost sounds like a country singer, you know, and he is going to get elected in Massachusetts. This is going to be a huge shock to the Democratic establishment. I mean, the fact that the people are speaking up and saying, we are sick of candidates who want to spend and raise taxes. And, you know, the voice is loud and clear in this case. There are so many implications about this election.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be a real turning point for the GOP. I think there's so much money on the sidelines from a retail perspective. And over Christmas, people are going to be sitting at home looking at the recent stock prices that have risen over the last 2 quarters and are going to think, hey, I need to get back into the market in the first quarter of 2010. So you're going to see some buying even as the hedge funds are unwinding, as Tim mentioned, and repositioning for different strategies. My strategy is to remain diversified as much as possible internationally, with more than 60% of my portfolio in those areas. I'm not sure who the right candidates would be for Hershey, but Hershey has to do something. You know, now it's entrenched in a slow growth market in the United States. There's not a large population growth, you know, in terms of, you know, chocolate versus the confectionery candy business. So, you know, I don't see a lot of upside for Hershey in the short term unless they make some acquisitions, which will give them access to different distribution, different products.
And Yuri Mann, as always, as well. Thanks to both of you guys.
Thank you.
All right, Uri, thank you very much. Appreciate that again.
Yuri, good to see both of you guys. So I know you guys will both be back
Thank
later
you.
on this hour,
But as Yuri says, what are we going to talk about now? All right, Todd and Yuri, thank you so much.